laughing already. Okay, this is good. There's a lot of pause for laughter in this, but it wasn't after good morning, so we're already off to a good start. My name is Sean Lewis, and it is my honor and privilege to be here today as the valedictorian for the class of 2017. So first, to the class of 2017, thank you for letting me be here. This is a day that, throughout our 3 years, has seemed, at times, very far away, almost impossibly far away. And yet somehow, since we're here, it seems like it came a little bit too quickly, and where did the time go? But the first thing I want to mention is that with everything that goes into today, our first ceremony, lunch, our second ceremony, gowns, hoods, the whole thing, it should be very obvious to all the parents in the room here today that your child in the class of 2017 should be the favorite child. If they're not already. In all seriousness, this is a really special and unique opportunity for all of us here today, whether it's the class of 2017 or our honored guests, friends, family, professors, and it lets us take a look back at the last 3 years, and for the class of 2017, who we were in September 2014 when we started, and who we are today. And then it lets us look ahead to the future, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, or at least the reminder of bad news, but we are all only a few weeks away from starting our careers, which includes articling for most of us. And in this process of looking back and looking ahead at the same time, it allows us to relive the good times and the not-so-good moments, celebrate our accomplishments, and to then hopefully use the lessons that we've learned throughout this time as we move ahead into our careers, and I'm sorry to say, our lives away from Western law. Now to do this, look back and ahead at the same time, we need to start at the beginning of this law school journey, which isn't exactly an easy task, because there are a lot of historic points that we can all look to say, I think that's when law school started. There's the getting good grades in undergrad part, the deciding that you want to go to law school in the first place part, the realizing that you have a bachelor's of arts degree and you have to go to law school part. It's a part that I know intimately well. There's the writing the LSAT, writing your personal statement that somehow didn't mention your desire to work on Bay Street or to bid 6 points for fall corporate law, applying for your hefty student loans, and then of course physically getting here for the first day. But despite us all having an individual moment, we do have a moment as a class together. But before that, I want us to all think about those individual moments where we can say, that was who I was when I started law school, because I'll never forget mine. It was the night before our first day, and I was sitting in my apartment, and I was thinking about all the things that you think about before a big day, that everyone thinks about before a big day, particularly for law school. Was I going to fail? Did I make the right choice? Would anybody else have a beard? You know, all men and women think about this stuff. It's just a fact. And at that moment, my phone buzzed, and I had been texting with a friend who was also starting the next day. And I'll never forget this moment, because when I read the message, I can pinpoint that's who I was. The message said, but seriously, dude, what are you going to wear tomorrow? I'm not paraphrasing that, that's what it said. And I was so happy to read that, because I was really wondering what I was going to wear, but I was too afraid to ask that question. And that's who I was when I started. I was nervous, anxious, and just wishing that someone else would ask the questions that I was too nervous to ask. And for all of us in those little silos, we met together on the first day in room 38. I think that's the first day of the class of 2017. Now, for those guests here that don't know, on your first day of law school, you're ushered into the building and you meet these friendly people known as JPs. They tell you about the more liquid side of the law school experience. And then you all go into our biggest lecture hall, room 38, where Dean Chamberlain tells you how accomplished your class is before you even got there. And it's a pretty impressive list. I went back and I looked through it. And our class included PhDs, business owners, consultants, Everest climbers, top-of-the-line athletes, Nobel laureates, and astronauts. I only made up those last two. We all sat there, at least most of us sat there, and thought, I'm really underqualified for this. If I leave for the bathroom and never come back, will anybody notice? We were nervous as a group together. Of course, unless you were one of the Starbucks baristas. Then you knew that you were going to be okay. But for the rest of us, as a class, we sat there nervous, insecure, unsure about what was to come. And from that moment, everything changed. Everything went full speed ahead, and looking back, it's still as blurry as it was at the time. We went from room 38 into a series of unfamiliar exercises and endeavors beginning with that life and death 5% case brief. And it has shaped the entire trajectory of our legal careers to this day, and to this day is the last time any of us had ever briefed a case. And that was followed by so many other assignments that somehow went in conjunction with having to attend classes about topics we barely knew existed, and covering material that we barely understood, which now that I say it out loud sounds a lot like what happened yesterday. Oh good, it wasn't just me. And in our first few weeks at Western Law, we were told that we need to sign up for a minimum of about 25 extracurricular activities or we won't fit in, which meant that we were promptly all rejected from about 24 extracurricular activities. And in the middle of all these activities, assignments, class, maybe playing on an intramural team or working in the clinic, we suddenly had exams. And to this day, you don't have to tell me that it's worth 30%. That was the most intense thing we'd ever done up to that point. And then that moves into January term, where suddenly we have more work to do. And all of a sudden, the exams that are real, 70%, it's 100%, I don't care what the math says. Already, we've come a long way from sitting in room 38. But a funny thing happened throughout this whole fuzzy, nerve-wracking, hair-losing, and anxiety-inducing mess. And it starts with what didn't happen in that first year. Because what didn't happen is all the horror stories that we've all heard about law school and law students. No one went to the library and ripped pages out of books. No one hid those books. No one distributed summaries with misleading or missing information. And despite the lights, I can see some shocked looks on the faces of people in the back. And that is the correct look that you should have. But they're real stories. We're all only a friend of a friend away from something like this actually happening. Those are things that do happen at law schools. They just don't happen here. And instead, what did happen here was completely different. Because in the middle of all of this, you had people inviting you into study groups before exams. You had people asking not if you had a summary, but if you had a good summary. People giving you notes if you missed class. It wasn't a big deal. Even our Facebook debates, however ridiculous, were pretty respectful at the end of the day. And the thing about this, what makes this so unique, is that this attitude, this Western law culture that we found ourselves in, is completely organic. I was surprised to learn, and if there are any first years or second years in the room, I hope I'm not spoiling the surprise, but there's no executive committee of upper year students that tells you how to behave to first years. And there's no big agenda that gets passed around that says we're going to be nice and we're going to be inclusive and we're not going to freak out if somebody needs notes. It's just something that's passed down from each generation that you're immersed in as soon as you step foot in the school. It's simply a culture and an ethos of respect, of collegiality, and for lack of a better term, of the good kind of competitiveness. You know, the try to get good grades without stealing someone's laptop kind of competitiveness. We all have very personal experiences with how this shaped our time at Western Law, and I'll never forget mine when I knew that this place was different. I was Facebook chatting with an upper year friend of mine in one of the first weeks of school, and he asked me what professors I had. And I thought we were just small talking, and then when I told him, the next message was just a series of PDF summaries from the professors that we shared, and then I was lumped into separate Facebook chats with people I had never met, just so that he could get me the ones that he thought were good for the professors that I didn't have. And this isn't something that I hinted about, I'll be honest, I don't even think I knew what a summary was. It's just something that happens every day at Western Law. And so as we went from our first years into our second years, that way of life became more and more obvious. And for those in the room that don't know, the second year of law school is a strange time in our lives where we attend a sea of never-ending interviews and write so many applications that eventually we start speaking in buzzwords. You know, fit, firm culture, that sort of thing. And in the middle of all of this, we turn to all of our friends, as we had for the whole first year, to say, can you practice a handshake? Can you proofread this cover letter? Can you tell me what your best professional self means? Because I keep seeing it in Career Center emails. And despite being on exchange, our upper year friends, being in different time zones, would still take the time to Skype with us when we were nervous about meeting with their firms and tell us how to handle interviews in whatever city we were interviewing throughout the country. And so when we moved from our second years to our third years, we found ourselves on the other side of these traditions. We were the ones asking first years if they had good materials, not just any materials. We were the ones reviewing applications and giving out in-firm dinner tips. And we did it genuinely, and we did it without thinking, because at that point, that's just who we were as the class of 2017. Now, throughout these years, we had so many formal things to be proud of from an accomplishment standpoint, whether it's academic publications, presentations, international internships, fantastic jobs, representing the school at competitions and summits, raising record-breaking amounts of money for charities because Tilt was invented when we were in law school, or our upcoming clerkships. The class of 2017 has a lot to be proud of during our time in law school, with the exception of maybe a few performances at Obiter Dictum. We've certainly come a long way from sitting in room 38, some of us not knowing what to wear. We went from people who were nervous, anxious, and unsure about the law and one another, into confident, accomplished individuals who took on the values of respect and support as seriously as we did our feelings about the fact that third years should not have to write exams. Some of us took that very seriously, and for the administration here, it's not an original idea, you can take that, whatever you want to do with it. But what does this have to do with our futures? What does all of this mean moving forward? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're all about to start our professional careers, many of us in law and some of us elsewhere. But no matter where we end up, being a law graduate comes with incredible privileges and opportunities. As future lawyers and leaders in a variety of fields, we have an opportunity to shape and to develop our future professions. And while this is a responsibility, to be sure, it's very exciting. And this is because all the class of 2017 has to do to be exceedingly positive influences wherever we end up is to just be ourselves. Now, that sounds a little underwhelming at first, but let me explain. All we have to do is conduct ourselves in our professional lives the way we have for the last 3 years, and every single one of us will be a boon to the legal profession and beyond. If we treat our colleagues, clients, and adversaries the same way we treated our classmates, professors, and Facebook thread argument counterparts throughout the last 3 years, we will be adding tremendous value wherever we end up. And that's because the values of respect, support, collegiality, again, I'm speaking in buzzwords, all of these things are so transferable and contagious. They're transferable because whether it's a firm, a clinic, a business, or anywhere else, these are things that are positive and good influences. And they're contagious because we're living examples of this. No one told us to do it. We were just sucked up into it from the moment we got to Western law, and we passed it on. Every single one of us is part of this, and we can pass it on wherever we end up. It's all positive value. And to be clear, this is value in addition to being able to go out on a Wednesday night and come to work at 8:30 the next day. So let's be fair, is more of a value than a lot of us would care to admit. And this is all without mentioning the influence that we're going to have on our professions using our, brains. I mentioned some of the more formal accomplishments, but you don't need the program in front of you today to know how impressive this class really is. All you need to do is walk through chambers during recess at any point, and you'll overhear conversations between students that are exceedingly intelligent, engaged, and committed people. It's simply who we are, it's not who we try to be. And so, ladies and gentlemen in the class of 2017, honored guests, friends, family, professors, anyone that I'm forgetting, when we look back in 5, 10, 15 years, any number of years at this graduating class, I am confident that we will see great things and outstanding accomplishments. And we'll be impressed, we'll be thrilled, we'll be excited for our friends, and we'll be proud, but we won't be surprised. We won't be surprised because we saw people do great things here first. We won't be surprised at the influence we leave because we lived it here first. There's a funny little part in the professional responsibility section of the bar materials. I didn't have cause for laughter there. That's And it talks about how the general public looks up to lawyers, and consequently, lawyers have a particular obligation to the public in all aspects of life, despite all the jokes about lawyers. That part was not the funny little part in the bar materials. I can't think of a better group of people for the public to look up to than a group of people who spent 3 years together learning the law and developing legal skills in this environment of respect, geniality, and support, even if most of us don't know what the court of equity is. And so I'd like to conclude today with one final thought, and one that I think might be the most important of anything I've said so far. As we leave here today, we're going to face some challenges, adversity, and uncertainty. And the important thing to remember for us as a class is that the people to your left, to your right, people all around you wearing robes here today, you can text any one of them what to wear, and you'll be really happy that you did and feel a lot better about your next today. Congratulations, everyone.